Good morning. Let's see if this works out. 1 second. Let me pull this up as well. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I think we on, right? I think we live. I think we live. Okay. If anybody can confirm that they hear me, please. Okay, so let me just get back to everybody quickly. Hope you guys hear me. Well, I'm able to see myself. Okay. How should I... Let me forward this stuff to the Wales group. Okay. Let's just wait, I guess, for 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe there was some mix up with the announcement of the call, although it was as expected. Let me also do a little bit of promotion. We'll wait for 2 more minutes. So it's a little bit of a slow entry today. Yeah, because I assume that it's happening, and yeah, we need to do a better job next time. 1 second, let me just promote this a little bit more. Okay. Let me promote it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, can somebody please confirm that you guys hear me? Just want to make sure. While I'm still promoting, you can write in the comments. Okay. So, this opens up a little bit slowly for me, the Excel. So, what I would like to discuss, I guess that's it. Whoever wants to watch it, they'll watch the recording. Sent. All right. So, let's just proceed. Let's just proceed. So, a couple of things. One thing, I think on the back of what I'm mentioning almost every single call nowadays regarding Web 2, Web 3 type of situation, I start to more and more realize what is really happening. I start, because every single time this angle gets deeper and deeper, and it just resonates with me better as I think more about it. So the Web 3 angle versus Web 2 angle, and maybe let me share the screen. So in Web 2 angle or Web 2.5 angle, what Web 2.5 business is trying to do. Let me just like probably like collect my thoughts as I'm speaking, as I'm speaking this out. So what Web 2.5 is trying to do, they are trying to steal business from Web 2. That's what they're trying to do. And I've been mentioning this to you guys before. I myself have been thinking about this for quite some time. We've been discussing with the team daily over the last many, many years. We're in the space since 2016, 2017. So it's been 7 to 8 years. Not tourists, that's for sure. And when it comes down to kind of realizing why is it good, why is it bad, the first immediate response is Web 2 won't let you get a piece of a pie. Right? So when you do Web 2.5 business, and Web 2.5 is anything you have to deal with cash on ramp, off ramp, that's Web 2.5. Anything centralized, that's Web 2.5. Everything centralized but branded as decentralized, that's still Web 2.5. With Web 2.5, when they are trying to steal the business from Web 2, and the Web 2, it's Goldman Sachs. And Web 2, that's BlackRock. And Web 2, that's, I don't know, Bridgewater, right? And Web 2, that's insurance companies. And Web 2, to some extent, governments. And the whole motion is still towards decentralization. Even the governments themselves are crying to decentralize some of the responsibilities they handed to themselves. It's happening in the United States already. Hospitals, you have private hospitals and private and public. And if you have the money, you know where you're gonna go. You're gonna go to private hospitals. Education, you have public education, private education. And public education, specifically in the United States, just sucks completely. Not in all the states, but in lots of states, it's just bad. It's really, really terrible. So you got to go for private education. So those two industries or those two spaces, can be like, well, it's not manufacturing. Oh, it's not IT. Oh, it's not defense, right? It's not military. But if you think about this, it's education. It's literally what is in your head. How can you contribute to the society? The knowledge you go with. The education have been quite subpar for a very long time. Very few things you learn in school, whether it's school or college, you actually use in professional life. Of course, you're going to go to something more and more specific, such as medical school, dental school. You got to go to law school. You got to go to get your PhD in some type of engineering studies. Yes, that is a super focused level of study, and that is extremely useful. But we're talking about generic stuff, which is public, schools and high schools and middle schools and also universities. That's pretty subpar. And that is a huge definer, huge function of the future state of our society. Because if our children are educated poorly, then you get stupid decisions, and then you get complete devastation, and the system is just going to get destroyed by the people themselves through policies. Now, when we talk about hospitals, same situation. Like, it's about medical stance. And yes, lots of people say how COVID showed that medical system in developed countries is completely broken and stuff like that. But it's not about that. How many people can afford to do just medical checkups on a consistent basis, even in developed countries, let alone developing countries? It's insane. It's 21st century. We're talking about artificial intelligence stealing our jobs, yet we cannot go and do a fucking dental checkup on a consistent basis because most of us don't have the money for this, right? So that's just the state of the industry. That's just, and now that's private. So public cannot hold that. So now private organizations took over with insurance companies, obviously headed, right? There's this great clip, one of the shorts, YouTube or TikTok, one of those where this guy, a doctor, is contemplating with another doctor who he's working for. And one guy's like, I'm working for patients. And then at the end of the clip is like, ends up that both of them work for insurance. Like insurance is the boss. Insurance companies is the boss for every single doctor. Like, because insurance is the one who's paying money. Right? That's bizarre. So while these two industries, medical and educational, sound not super important, but if you really think about this, they are crucial. They're absolutely crucial. The only other one that is as crucial is potentially, again, defense. And I don't think that defense will ever be kind of taken over from the government. And that's exactly what the government is supposed to be working on. Defense, military defense. Like, those are the two spaces that are supposed to be belonging to the government. That's how governments protect the borders. That's how governments make sure there's no minimize crime, etc. There are some systems in place to control that stuff, to make sure that the population keeps increasing. Everything else, not I didn't say that. It's the Ministry of Defense of the United Kingdom said that in the report of 50, essentially 50 years, up until 2045, that lots of industries will be diluted into the private sector and out of the public sector. So, and then the question is, of course, who in the private sector will be taking over? And if the BlackRock will be behind all of these initiatives, then it's not very good because it's owned by the monopolies. So now they will be shaping your educational system, your medical system, your food industry, your consumption, etc. So maybe that's not very good. Of course, we're talking more about decentralization into the hands of us as people, and it's not happening. So what Web 2.5 comes into when Web 2.5 comes into play, they want to get valuations, right, of Web 3. We discussed that many times. Very rarely do they have the legal means to actually compete because they're not purely decentralized. Thus, they are subject to regulations. So what they do, they essentially embrace regulations. So they get lawyered up, potentially move outside of the United States or outside of the developed countries, potentially don't deal with certain countries, and put all these barriers, thus making the space permissioned, not permissionless. Permissionless means anybody can interact with it. Anybody can interact with Bitcoin. Permissioned means, well, you have to get certain type of rights, certain type of approvals before you can interact with the system. And that's what I thought was the biggest problem. Because good luck getting all the regulations. Because these are the guys who lobby the regulations. These are the guys. Unless, of course, there's elite within, like, let's assume Web 2 is controlled by elite number 1. And then, right, elite clan number 1, or like multiple clans, like 1 to 5, right? Like elite clans 1 to 5, right? Let me just like make it different color so you guys see it, right? Multiple clans, there's not one clan. And then Web 2.5, like elite clan number 6 now wants to take over. So they moved from Web 2 and they massively support Web 2.5 movement. So they're trying to get a piece of a pie because it's always elites always fight with each other, just like we fight with each other, right? For resources. It's just natural humanity, right? That's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin, is that everybody's fighting for each other, for themselves, yet they are kind of, while fighting for themselves, they maintain the authenticity of the network. That's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin. That's the beautiful thing about Ethereum. That's the beautiful thing about Ghost. While everybody fights for each other, for themselves, the network gets stronger. That's the beauty. I thought the only problem was regulations. Because good luck getting regulated. But then we have examples of Circle, right? Tether, not so much. We have some other examples, potentially Paxos, right? With USDP. Right? So we have some examples that did lure up, and they are trying now to fight with Web 2. And investors are supporting that movement. And what's happening, what they're trying to do, what these Web 2.5 projects trying to do, specifically Circle or Paxos, like that type, that is actually trying to get the regulator route. What they're trying to do, they're trying to make the system better using decentralized technology. So using blockchain or DLT, distributed ledger technology. That's how they describe this, right? And Okay, again, I thought that like regulations, like good luck with the regulations, because Goldman Sachs will just rip you apart, right? But kind of the additional realization just finally struck me this week was, well, let's assume Circle you win, right? You go ahead and actually crush the Chase Bank, right? Bank of America. If you guys are like outside of the US, then you know, like crushes your local bank, right? Like, because let's assume if I transfer something over Chase, I have to wait sometimes 1 to 3 days, sometimes up to 10 days, business days, for my transactions to go through, let alone the regulators can freeze me out, blah, blah, blah. Same thing, Bank of America. So all these banks take forever in the US. It's crazy. It's crazy inefficient. Circle comes in and says, you know what, we'll settle your transaction within whatever, a minute, right? Because we're using Ethereum blockchain. So that's our value add. And that's why it's so, that's why we as Circle, we are so much better than banks. So they're trying to replace banks. My concern with that was always, well, Chase will crush you no matter what, because they can have so much more money, they can crush you. They can bring the freaking, regulations against you. To which USDC Circle will say, well, we're just more efficient. So, just like Apple beat Kodak, this is the same way how we're going to beat Chase. What I didn't realize is that if Circle ever beats Chase, if Web 2.5 ever beats Web 2, Web 2.5 becomes Web 2. That's what I didn't realize. If Circle beats Chase, now Circle is the one who will lobby all the laws because they have all the freaking control. Like, why Circle is better than Chase? Why? Because they can settle transactions faster? Fine. From business perspective, how to say? From immediate product offering perspective, Circle is definitely offering potentially better value proposition. Although also not really, right? Because if I transfer Circle and I mess up my address, Circle, like send it to a limbo address or send it to a wrong address, Circle can do nothing. If I do this over Chase, Chase can try to retrieve my transactions back. So Chase and the banks, despite having, really outdated technology, still offer significant value. Circle offers its own significant value. And we say, well, there is so much money. Oh, if I was an investor in Circle, I would make so much more money as an investor. We have people like this in Wales. And the answer to that is, as an investor, you will make more money, but the system will be still fucked. That's the whole situation. Web 2.5 will just naturally migrate back into Web 2 because that's what they are. That's what they are. If Circle wins, Circle, with all the regulations, is able to freeze your account, fully control your freaking money by freezing your account, therefore, knows who you are, has way better reporting system than Chase does, because everything is so much transparent, right? So all these features of blockchain will be used against you. Have you thought about that? Because we thought blockchain gives us anonymity. We thought blockchain gives us full freedom of our funds. And all that is used against you. It's used literally against you. By the Circle, by the Paxos, by all these guys. And again, these are the better representatives of Web 2.5. Like, the worst representative of Web 2.5, so the ones who just say that who claim that they're decentralized, they're not decentralized, they steal your freaking money, rug pulls, whatever, and get away with this. Web 2.5, such as Circle, Paxos, are the best representatives of Web 2.5. Even Tether, nobody knows if it's really backed. There are rumors that only 70% of Tether is backed. Serious accusation, these are the rumors. There are also rumors that Tether has been used to pump Bitcoin. There's a research paper about that because there's a partnership. I think Tether owns Bitfinex. Bitfinex is an exchange. And lots of minted Tether has been used to purchase Bitcoin and potentially pump it. Serious accusation. I'm not the one saying that. I'm just quoting the paper, the research paper about it. Right? So I think this is the realization that I came to finally. Like, okay, fine. Even if Web 2.5 goes to regulations, which is really freaking rare. Like maybe 5 companies are trying to really be like regulated. Like they all say they are, but I think like maybe 5 companies really trying to go this route because they have the resources to do this. And if these 5 companies, Web 2.5, win, like beat the Web 2 competitors, we're just gonna get like a huge new dragon which is even more, which is even worse than the previous one. Think about that. Right? That's an important thought. That's a very important freaking thought. Okay. So now, let's talk about the other thing. Let's talk about the valuation and the notes and the exercise. So on the exercise front, 1 second, let me just close this Excel. It's just like, as usual, a little bit slow on my end. So we sent over some instructions, and some of you guys followed these instructions, and thank you so much. We limited it to the first 2 participants, I believe, and I think we got more than 2 instantly. So thank you so much for those guys who participated. Once you follow all the steps, we'll reach out. The team will reach out. I'm not personally responsible for that. So the team will reach out for the final step. And let me just explain what's happening. And then I'll switch to Excel. Let me explain what's happening through these instructions. Okay. So what we are testing right now is, 1 second, let me just make sure that you guys see it. Yeah. What we are testing right now is this. So this is the first version of Ghost Testnet. This is version 1. I'm not sure, probably version 0 even, right? Let's just call it that. And what's up with that version 0 of the testnet is every single person who qualifies will receive certain number of GMBs. Well, let's just call them ghosts, right? So every single person who qualifies, let's assume, gets 1,000 ghost coins, right? And as written in the instructions, you don't own these coins. Like, these coins are just for the example, for the exercise. You don't own these coins. These coins are needed, though, for you to be a validator. So version 0, what happens is, once you go through the steps in the guide, we are testing whether your machine is enough to connect to the network. The network has 2 nodes. The first node is Alice. This node is operated by the team. Again, this is just except we're just testing stuff still. That's why it's called testnet. We're testing lots of testnets. That's why it's version 0. Once you go through these instructions, we then give you the address of Alice to connect to. Once you connect, so once you go through the guide, you essentially become Bob. And once you give you the address of Alice, you as Bob can connect to Alice and back. So this network will be comprised of 2 nodes. Now, what we did, we of course tried to do Charlie. I was Charlie a couple of days ago, and I was able to connect to Alice as well. That's what we're testing. We are testing the ability for Bob from different countries, from different regions, using different ISPs, internet providers, to connect to Alice. Alice is a boot node. That's what we are testing currently. Once you connect as Bob, after you follow the instructions, you connect as Bob, your connection needs to be there for, 5 minutes. 2 hours, doesn't matter. You don't need to be online 24/7. You just connect and disconnect. Boom. Once you connect, we know that you connected, we tested the region, we move on. We need to test as many whales as possible before we move to testnet version 1. And that's why it's imperative for every single one of you guys who want to become a node operator at some point of time to go through these instructions. As far as the guide, if I am to simplify the allocation of the guide as far as difficulty, 90% of this guide pertains to installing Linux on your machine, whatever your machine is. 10% of that guide is the actual Ghost node. Ghost node is so much easier, so much easier. Once you install your operating system, the Ghost node takes 10% of the effort. And then the question is, if it's V0, why should I do it? Because the difference between V0 and V1 is the code base. So all you have to do is update the 10% commands and you're good. If you wait until V1, you will have to deal with 10% of Ghost plus 90% of Linux. So you have to deal with 100% of the work. And while now we are able to help, because there are not that many requests, there's no GMV at stake, there's no slashing, nothing yet. There will be no slashing for some time. The slashing will probably appear at testnet version 5. Because we need to test things out, like something like that, right? So it will take some time for all of us to catch up. So don't worry about slashing yet. But by the time you have to worry about slashing, you need to be really, really set up with everything. You need to know what's happening. There's a huge learning curve that needs to take place. Okay? So better to start that learning curve now. Like the sooner, the better. It's imperative. We limited to two nodes, but I think maybe 5 people participated already, which is huge. Like it happened, within a day. The weekend we'll throw more people. We also have a call with Ghost Council sometime this upcoming week. I think it's on Wednesday. We also have a call with the Ghost Pool, Zafira. Not a call yet, but like I'm trying to figure out how many of the pool people receive the GMVs yet, and essentially try to get as many people from the pool as possible to also participate here, because now is the best time. Now is the best time to ask questions. Now is the best time to ask for updates. Now is the best time to really be active, because by the time we are around V1 or V2 or V3, the team is just not going to have enough time to help you guys out. So you will have to be relying on the community help. And then that depends on the community. If the community is strong, hopefully it is. I mean, I think it's going to be. Then you have still no problem. But if the community is weak for some reason, not helping much, and then we just don't have time because we will be preoccupied with so many other things. We have to work on the Ghost Wallet. We have to work on the Ghost Explorer. We have to work on the Ghost DAO. We have to figure out which chains to deploy the Ghost DAO on as far as testnets. All these testnets, all these blockchains consistently update. Phantom changes the name. Polygon changes the freaking name. I don't know. Hopefully Ethereum won't change the name. Like, this is just like all these little things here and there. Plus we need to maintain the community. So we're just going to be busy. And this is the best time currently to ask any questions you have regarding the guide, regarding how to run a node, regarding devices. V0, use your existing machines. Use your existing machines that you have. Do not purchase anything. V1, you'll have to start purchasing machines if you don't have a machine. Okay, so that's also like we also separated it just to make sure we manage everybody's expectations. We don't want you guys to spend money only then to find out that nothing works. Now, from our perspective, I purchased the machine. Cosmos purchased the machine. The dev team purchased the machines. So we did purchase the machines, right? Kind of like took the initial risk. We don't want you to take that risk yet, but by V1, you have to do it, right? So here you have to buy the machine. Buy machine. All right? So it's imperative. It's imperative, absolutely imperative to do it now. No slashing probably until version 5, but be able to set it up now. Okay? So that's kind of like a little bit of the warning, right? The sooner the better. Now, the next phase that I need to cover is the valuation. So the valuation that has been shared in the Whales group today is a little bit for informational purposes. So, GNV Ghost is a utility token, not a security token. So make sure that you understand this, right? So we're not trading anywhere. There's no centralized exchange that is supporting the price or the market cap. But we are acting based on the information we have. So we have around 6 nodes that participated so far. Some team members, some whales. And it's going to increase, right? So for the 6 nodes, based on the valuation received, where every single node is worth around $11 million per valuation of market cap per node, the current supply of GNV is roughly 14 million. So we're looking at 17 million market cap. How's that received? Simply multiply 6 nodes by this number. So you get roughly 70 million market cap. When you divide it by 14 million, which again, this number is supposed to increase, it probably will be standing at 30 million, but for now it's 14. So now we're looking at $5 per GNV. All right, $5 per ghost, right? So don't get super excited. Again, this is just experimental. That's just for informational purposes. That's just for entertainment purposes, right? It's not but this is what we can expect. Now, these 3 nodes coming from the CIS region, one US, one Japan, one Turkey. One is from Norway, as you guys saw in the whales. It's upcoming. It's not included here. There will be a lot more. Hopefully be counting on anywhere from 50 to 100 nodes. And of course, if you do that, say 50 nodes here, at some point of time, we're looking at $500 million market cap at $42 price per token, right? So if it does happen, if it do grow to 50, let me actually expand this one. In the nearest couple of months, then that's where we are, right? Now this market cap right there, so this second chart is market cap in billion USD versus the number of nodes of the top blockchains out there. The top, not just any blockchains. These are the top blockchains, like the major blockchains out there. You see Bitcoin, or maybe let's make it smaller a little bit. You see Bitcoin. Wait, do you see it? Yeah, actually even smaller. Yeah, now you will be able to see it. Yeah. So you see Bitcoin here is at 19,000 nodes. So the nodes are on the left, the market cap is on the right in billion USD. So Bitcoin is at almost 20,000 nodes. Ethereum is at 4,400 nodes. Again, I think they have a lot more right now with proof of stake. So this number is kind of outdated, a little bit unfair for Ethereum. I think they're way more decentralized than this, but just out there could be an error. BNB 11, XRP 600 nodes. Cardano 2,400 nodes, Solana 1,500 nodes, so decentralized with 1,500 nodes, Doge 1,000 nodes, Tron, right? So Tron really stands out here. It's perhaps the second most decentralized kind of proof of work or whatever they have, maybe proof of stake, whatever, 7,500 nodes. So the 2 major ones is Bitcoin and Tron. So if you get to 50, that's going to be pretty cool. If you get to 1,000 nodes, let me actually make this right there. We get to 1,000 nodes at some point of time, we'll be really standing out. That's Ghost right there. We'll be really standing out at 1,000 nodes. If you get to 10,000 nodes, we are the second most decentralized network after Bitcoin. Again, Ethereum, I need to get the right number, but contingent upon Ethereum is correct. At 10,000 nodes, Ghost will be the second most decentralized network after Bitcoin. Doing something, the decentralized will be used to process breach transactions from one chain to the next, which is unheard of. So it's a new meta chain that is also as decentralized as Tron and Ethereum Classic and so on and so forth, right? So this is something that we need to look into. We need to kind of take into consideration the importance of this exercise. Currently, again, we're staying at 6. As of today, we're standing at 6 nodes, and even that is not that bad compared to the fact that BNB has 11 nodes. Stellar XLM has 50 nodes. Who else? Neo has 22 nodes. Neo Chain 22 freaking nodes, and we have 6. So not bad as far as the result. So Jason is asking, how about someone setting up with a machine he won't use for node, just for experiment? 1,000% positive, Jason. Absolutely great question. So I know some people have access to machines. These, like say Mac computers or Windows computers, old machines. And what's needed is to install an instance of Linux. The easiest instance of Linux based on our experience so far is Ubuntu. If you are hardcore, go with Debian. Debian is definitely way more complicated, and I want to do Debian myself. I just was not able to do this because of the internet connection. Because Debian essentially tells you that in order to download packages, you need Wi-Fi connection, but in order to have Wi-Fi connection, you need to download packages. So you need to most likely either move the package responsible for Wi-Fi over the USB drive, which was unsuccessful in my case, or you need to use a wire, Ethernet wire, to connect your machine initially to the internet, download all the packages, and then from there proceed. So that's Debian. Debian essentially is like way more containerized than Ubuntu. Ubuntu, on the other hand, hey, comes with Wi-Fi packages right away, so it makes making everything way easier, way more friendly, and slightly more soy. Right? So Ubuntu is a good option, but if you're hardcore, go with Debian and try to figure it out. I think the team went with Debian. Another thing about Debian is some of the software for the Wi-Fi has not been updated yet to the core. So some Wi-Fi packages don't work with Debian currently, and that's another reason why I was not able to set this up yet. So we need to wait for Debian to upgrade. So Debian is definitely more, more hardcore, in a positive way, right? So way more challenging, way more hardcore. But Ubuntu is way easier. So if you have a Windows machine or a Mac, go ahead, download a Linux instance, virtual machine instance on your machine, and you can try to run. Now, based on our experiments, again, we don't want to overpromise anything yet because you guys need to buy machines, right, at some point of time. So that's why we're super careful how you spend your money. So we tried, and I personally tried to do this on the box. It's a separate small little box, $200 per box. All in all, I spent, again, I think I mentioned $300 or up to $500 for everything: cables, separate keyboard, mouse. I didn't buy the mouse. I had it already. USB drive, separate USB drive that I can format, like completely separate, completely like empty. So everything cost like probably up from $300 to $500 total. You could buy it cheaper. But we did try to run the instance on a Raspberry Pi, and it worked. Even that thing worked. Now, it does not mean that a boot node will work. It does not mean that a full valid data node will work. So don't get us there. So therefore, do not rely on the Raspberry Pi. That's why we're super careful with which device you are going to actually purchase, end up going with. But even Raspberry Pi was sufficient for certain functionalities. And Raspberry Pi costs $40, depending on your country, maybe $40 to $50. Again, maybe in your country it could be $80. I'm talking about Raspberry B3 Plus or 3B Plus, whatever, one of those, right? It's the same one. I probably just mistakenly called it, right? So it's 3B Plus Raspberry Pi. Even that one worked for certain things, for being able to connect as Bob. So the requirements are purposefully to make sure that anybody who wants to participate can participate. If you have something more, like if you have, your own Mac machine, old Mac machine, some of our council members have that. Some guys have Windows machines. Those will be really freaking powerful for the purpose, which is great. If you have like an old machine, most likely you'll be able to use it. Okay. So again, guys, if you have any questions, please throw these questions now. We are going to we're going to stop essentially now. There's not much I can share with you at the moment. Again, as a reiteration, please start going through the guide ASAP. If you don't have a machine yet, do not purchase it. But if you do have an old machine or something, please experiment with it ASAP. Okay? We'll have a call with the council on Wednesday for the same essentially purpose of trying to get everybody on the same page regarding the guide. We are also going to have a call in the next 2 weeks, hopefully, with the pool people. So if you could help, if you're in that chat, please help us. Engaged. Kind of what I want to make sure. I want to make sure that the pool people got their GME tokens, right? That's kind of the point. Any questions once? Any questions twice? Any questions 3 times? I'll wait for another 15 seconds because there's delay between YouTube and the comment section. And then if there are no questions, we'll end. If there are questions, I'm more than happy to respond. So far, I think we have not 6 but 7 nodes already, and maybe even 8. And I know that some council members are working on stuff on the back end. Didn't figure this out yet, but kind of the impression that I have is we have about like immediately anywhere from 10 to 15 nodes by the end of the weekend. Again, these nodes are not going to be running full time, right? The whole point is to connect and then disconnect just to make sure that you are able to connect. All right, Jason, thank you so much. Zafir, thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. See you next week, 8 a.m. Eastern, same time every week. Sorry for not announcing it better. Next time we'll be doing a better job with the communication. This is it for now. Bye-bye.